appropriate to do. But if we don't look at our salary schedule and have salaries that are commensurate with that work level and get competent people that we can retain and have enough of them to meet the public demand, this is basically a fee-driven department. And so if fees can be associated with getting those functions done, we ought to get on with it. And I've been talking about that at the board level for the entire time I've been here. And I don't think that any significant change has gone forward. There's been this constant sort of dodging of that issue, which doesn't ever solve the problem. So until we get our fees to a reasonable level, and so which is going to come first? Are we going to get the fees up, or are we going to adjust the salary schedules to be appropriate? And I think if we do all of those things, we'll move forward into the new millennium with a lot of other surrounding counties and what they're doing. And we'll be able to get the work done. We'll be able to get the planning functions done appropriately, and we'll be able to get the permit and the regulatory functions stepped up to where they need to be. And we'll be able to get the business community responded to get the work done that needs to be done. So that's my input on it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Pinches?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I realize this is not an agendized item, but Mr. Stone brings up some comments that I completely concur with what he said as far as, spending $177,000 when we need a staff person to do that anyway. We were told about a month ago that we had some real good candidates for planners. We've never seen no movement on that, yet we'll see a contract for $177,000 coming for us. It was my intention 2 weeks ago to have the CEO's office basically back off and look at these issues, whether it's a water study or the issue of hiring. And I hope that the CEO's office in our next agendized meeting doesn't just come back with the same agendized items and have taken this time, and if they need a little more time, to look at how we're spending our money for the long term in the future. Because I don't think, if it's true that we have some good planning candidates out there, then why don't we put them in a position and make them part of the Mendocino County planning team and move this process forward. I don't believe right now that we're at this big urgency anymore with the new timetables. We're 8 years late on this general plan anyway. And Kendall, the general plan process is not fee driven. There's been monies collected through the Building and Planning Department that goes for the general plan. But it's really, we're not talking about a fee-driven issue here. It's about doing our work, and we're 8 years late doing our work. And if we're going to get it right, let's spend another couple months and make sure we are doing it right for the long term, rather than just approving hundreds of thousands of dollars contracts and hoping that solved it. That hasn't solved it for the last 8 years. Look at all the contracts and consultants we've hired over the last 8 years. And it's never helped our time frame, never got us further along. So maybe we need some competent staff that is their sole job to get that done.
Thank you, Supervisor. Two things before we go into closed session. First is a piece of correspondence dated yesterday from our Ag Commissioner, Dave Bankston. He's requesting a USDA secretarial disaster declaration due to damage to hay, range, pasture, and peas in Mendocino County due to the severe drought. The total estimated loss is $4,644,872 for the drought only, excluding any fire damage. He goes on to state that we've only had less than 1.5 inches of rain since March, and so he's requesting the Governor's Office of Emergency Services to add Mendocino County to a disaster declaration for those matters. And in addition, I was remiss to state during the updates of the fires the constant diligence that our Sheriff's Office through our Sheriff has provided cooperation and coordination with the fire agencies throughout the county, and Sheriff Allman has been doing an outstanding job. I'm quite not sure how he's been getting any rest, the areas that he's been covering, but Tom and his forces have been doing an outstanding job. I spoke to him this morning, and he feels they're adequately staffed. The evacuation warnings and notices that they've been involved in have just been outstanding, and the Sheriff's Office is to be commended and added to that group that has brought Mendocino County through this historic disaster and should go being mentioned. So just comment on that. And We will be going into closed session at this point and reporting back out any action. It's estimated we'll be in about 25, 30 minutes. So, if that. I would prefer that, so. Less. Yes. Okay, let's go to closed session and we'll come back.